Hello and welcome to an overview of the InfoShare Sri Lanka one-text process platform. What you will see in this demonstration is a walkthrough about the technology that we use, the ways in which we use it, some of its capabilities as a software platform, and the ways in which in the real life parties would use this platform to discuss, share, debate tenets, issues, and ideas linked to the peace process. What you see in front of you is Groove Virtual Office. This is our primary software platform at the moment in the peace process. All of the stakeholders on the one-text negotiations platform use this program. It was developed for corporate entities, for collaboration between geographically dispersed teams in the corporate world, but we have been using it for the past 2 years in Sri Lanka in the peace process in ways that the developers of Groove Virtual Office never imagined and are extremely interested in subsequent to our use in the peace process in Sri Lanka. What you would normally have in the real workspace, which I unfortunately can't share with you for obvious reasons of confidentiality, are a list of members who are in the workspace and seeing some of the issues. You would have a list of users who are online but not necessarily working on issues on the workspace, and you would have participants, colleagues, members of your team, or from other parties who are offline. Groove has instant messaging built in, so if you just double click someone here, you would be able to send an instant message to them. You can invite, depending on your user status, people to the workspace, and you can also chat with them in real time. The chat transcripts are also recorded so that someone else can come in and join the chat whenever they log into the system. There's also, as you could see there, the ability to use voice over IP, somewhat like Skype, or the functionality that you have in Yahoo and Messenger. So it's a pretty comprehensive platform. It includes text-based messaging, voice, as well as the ability to share audio and video files, which is something I'll talk about later. What you see here at the bottom are 4 tabs. These tabs are actually tools in Groove. These can be changed, added, deleted, modified, depending on the needs of the process, the way in which the discussions are going, and the needs of the participants as they see fit. So it's very customizable, and nothing here is permanent. Nothing here is something that needs to stay on in the form that it is. It's all very malleable to the way the process is being conducted. What you have here is what we call the Files tool. It's basically a Windows Explorer type files repository where you can have directories, you can have files. The files here need not. The files here can hold anything that Windows can hold. They're ranging from audio to video to text to, in this case, a zipped document. So anything that Windows can hold in its file system, Groove can. And the extension of this is that if you have, for instance, a PDF document in the vernacular, in Sinhala and Tamil, this system can handle that as well. What you have here is a discussion tool. It's a threaded discussion tool. If you want to create a new issue, all you have to do is click on New Topic, and we just type in something here. And that is immediately then updated in the workspace. Now you don't need to be online. All the others need not be online, but when they do log in, they will see an unread notification here saying that this is something that was posted when they were offline, and you can obviously respond to that. In this case, I'll just type something in. and so on and so forth. The author of the response or the discussion is automatically displayed so that you have an idea of who's participating and who brings up the issues, along with the date and the time the issues were posted. You can also have links to various documents. So if you have, for instance, a file that you want to link to, you could say and in this way you can have hyperlinks within the system, the workspace itself. So anyone who's looking at this just needs to click there and they automatically go to the file concerned. And so it gives a very easy way of linking information in a workspace irrespective of where that information might reside in. And we'll look at some of that later on as well. This is the main tool, as it were, which we use for the virtual one-text process. It's called a forms tool in Groove. What a forms tool basically is it's a database that's customizable using XML. A lot of what you see here is custom developed by InfoShare for the one-text process. The forms tool itself is very powerful, and it gives us the flexibility to create, again, a process and tools that are based on the timbre of the discussions, the participants, and the ways in which we think will help the participants discuss the issues in a manner that's constructive. I just have two issues here which I've posted. The first issue is something to do with access to fresh air, and the second is access to justice. If you look at the first issue, you will see that there are a number of stakeholders who have given their opinion here, and I've also made this so that it gives you an idea of who might be stakeholders in a peace process. You might have 3 key parties. You might have 1 or 2 spoilers who don't quite like the dynamics of the peace process and want to, for parochial gain, undermine it or break the peace process down so that they get a better deal. And you might also have parties who are not part of the key stakeholders but are actual emerging forces and powers, stakeholders that are gaining an increasing voice in the peace process and need to be included, because the danger of excluding these emerging powers is that they might have the potential then to become spoilers, which is the one thing that you really want to avoid in a peace process. As you can see, as I move through the parties, their statement on the particular issue that is being discussed plus their commentary is automatically displayed. And what you can actually do here is you can open that if you were a stakeholder, and you can go to the party that you represent, and you can type in your statement and your commentary. In this case, let's just type something in. And then likewise other parties can also go and type in their statements. The interesting thing is when you update this, again it's updated to everybody who's online in real time, but anybody who's offline will again see a little icon here which says that something has changed here and you need to look at this. You can obviously link issues. So if you say if there's a particular discussion entry that you want to link to, you can copy the entry as a link. You can go back there, and if you were the representative of that party who wanted to highlight something, you could just paste it there. And what that would enable the person to do, and any other person to do, would be to just click on that and then go to the related discussion entry. Likewise, you can link files as well, and if you just go and open this again and then go to another party perhaps, and just type something in. We could again just click on that and it will take you directly to the file that that person is talking about. Just open this now. What I've done here is, this is a second issue that I've created, looking at problems related to access to justice. There are two parties which have put in their opinion here. We'll just create another party and they put in their opinion here. Remember that this need not be done all simultaneously. It's an asynchronous system, so that parties can come at different times and put in this information as they see fit. And then this is automatically updated again. What the proposals and options does is that this is where the facilitator of the one text process comes in. He or she or the party or the stakeholder will take a look at all of the issues laid down on the table, all of the parties, how they think about it, what their stance is with regard to that particular issue, and then we'll come up with some proposals and options that will try to move the discussion forward. And as you can see, the issues, and when they are modified, it's all tabulated by the system, so there's a great degree of accountability to the ways in which information is put on this, because you can track each party's input, each party's data input, and when they inputted it and who inputted it into the system. So it's a very accountable system, and there are ways in which you can actually print out reports about party participation. There are various ways you can look at the information as well. In this example, there are two ways. You can look at information in terms of all of the statements simultaneously. So you have, in this case, all the party statements on this particular issue of access to fresh air shown in one single screen, and you can again click this to go to the file concerned, or this to go to the discussion concerned, and you can also browse through the statements and the commentary in the screen below. Alternatively, you can see a list of issues and proposals. So this gives you a list of issues in a peace process. This might be linked to a ceasefire agreement, a peace agreement, issues of federalism, fiscal decentralization, issues of justice, issues of powers of taxation. So it's a large number of issues that can be discussed in this kind of system. All of the issues might not be necessarily discussed in one single workspace. You might have a lot of workspaces, but remember, you can also link discussions from workspace to workspace. So these links that you see here can also cross-fertilize workspaces in various thematic discussions, in various macro discussions. Let's say a discussion on federalism can link to a discussion on issues of access to justice, and so you could have a spider's web, as it were, of interlinked discussions that parties can give their input to. So this is basically the system. As you can see, we are currently limited to discussions in English, but that hitherto hasn't been a problem, because the parties more or less have been conversant in English. As I said earlier, this is the second generation. The earlier generation was a bit harder to use, and we've incorporated some of the feedback that we've got from the parties who have been using the system in the creation of this new second generation of the one text process. It's a very powerful system, but we've purposely kept it simple. This is because although one can create an extremely sophisticated tour de force, as it were, if the parties don't feel comfortable with it, and if they don't want to add information, if they open something and then find that they don't know how to input data into the system, if they don't know how it works, then we have found that no matter what kind of sophistication that you have in the technology itself, the parties themselves won't use it to the fullest. So we've kept it fairly simple, but the power of the system is really quite phenomenal, and can be custom built then to, if a particular party wants access to that kind of information or more power than what is available here, we can design it for them. So that's basically a look at the system. It's in operation, has been in operation for about 1.5 years, and although it's not in the news, it's actually creating some discussions, dialogue and debate behind the scenes, which is at the end of the day the more interesting side of a peace process, what happens behind the glare of the media. And that's an overview. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.